Penny, you're right exactly in frame. Do you understand that? Can you lay down? Can you lay down, Pen Pen? Come here. There's a good girl. Oh, big stretch. You're probably putting your booty hole right in the camera, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, you are, pretty girl. And I'm standing in the creaky spot of the floor. You guys are gonna think I'm farting through this whole video. Anywho, hi. Today, I wanted to do something a little simple and a little easy to edit. This creaky floor is gonna drive me crazy. We'll stand here. I wanted to do something a little more simple and a little easier to edit. And I decided to do a Q&A. So I asked you guys for some questions over on my YouTube posts, community posts area. I don't know what it's called anymore. But over on YouTube, I did a little thing that said, ask me anything. And you guys sent in a ton of questions. And so I figure I will fold my laundry. There's not that much right now, honestly. It's been much worse than this. We'll go through all this, see how long it takes. I'll answer some questions. And if I have to come back tomorrow or later today and do a few more and do another little laundry because we don't get through enough, I'll do that. So I thought this would be a fun thing for anybody who needs some body doubling or mirroring. If you have a huge mountain of laundry to put away, go ahead and set me up with your headphones or put me up on the TV or whatever, and we can just have like a little hangout, fold our laundry together and just gab. How does that sound? A little different, but I just wanted something a little bit more simple today because I've done a few heavily edited videos recently and I don't feel like doing one right now. So let's just hang out and fold laundry. Okay, I'm gonna start with some of the questions about organizing and cleaning and stuff like that, because that's probably what most people watching this kind of content are curious about. The first set of questions are kind of similar. It's, when will we see the Office of Doom videos? How's the office going? And concurrently, same question about the garage. When are we gonna organize the garage? And also kind of related is, what projects do you want to accomplish this year? So we're gonna say that's all kind of tied together in one thing. The office, how do I say this? The office is nothing's happening in there. The office is a no. Right now, I'm just taking everything that needs to hang up and I'm just like throwing it over here for now. I'm not ready to do the office. Let's make it like simple. That's the simple answer. I'm not ready to do the office because I am reevaluating my reselling business. I have been for the last year or so. You may know that I have a vintage reselling business. I had a lot of it in a storage unit. I got everything out of the storage unit and got rid of the storage unit. Then last year we had the whole rat fiasco and we got a storage unit again because we had to basically move out for a couple of months while our landlord dealt with the rats. When that was all over, we moved back and most of the house is in a good state right now, but the office is the one area where it was like, I'm just gonna shove everything back into the office and deal with it later. And I'm not ready to deal with it yet. Just emotionally, I'm not. The thing is, I am, over the last couple of years, I have been going through all of my inventory and just trying to sell it and get rid of it, basically. Now I'm at the point where I'm reevaluating the kinds of things I want to sell, because in the beginning of my reselling business, I was kind of just buying bulk lots of anything and I acquired way too much stuff. So now I'm kind of being a little bit more strategic about the kind of stuff that I sell. And with that, I'm going to be, and I have been, just getting rid of some of my inventory. I've been looking through my accounting and seeing the stuff that I don't really need to make money on. Like, I've made plenty of money on that lot of items that I bought. and now I can kind of just donate the rest of the stuff, but that's a very tedious project. And I'm having more fun making YouTube videos, to be perfectly honest with you. And I know that it can be for YouTube. I can do some of that on YouTube, but to not be miserable, I kind of wanted to get the rest of my house good first. So yeah, and I'm going to be seriously downsizing my reselling business in general. I don't want to hold so much inventory. I'm only going to sell what I can fit in my one little reselling closet. I haven't bought anything for my business in like a year, over a year. Like last year, I didn't really buy anything because I'm like, well, I got to get through all this inventory I already have first. Sorry if my hair was scraping on the microphone. Anyway, that's the gist of that. You will see the videos, but I'm not in any hurry. I'm just not. The garage, on the other hand, is going to be spring break. We were possibly going to Iowa for spring break to help empty out Blake's grandma's house because she passed away last fall, if you didn't know about that. So we have a very sad trip to Iowa coming up. But it looks like that's going to be moved to summer because everyone will have more time, the weather will be better, stuff like that. So I think spring break, which is like the first week of April for us, we're gonna be doing the garage. So you will definitely be seeing garage videos before you see Office of Doom videos. And as far as what my goals are for this year, what projects I'm planning on this year, I've wanted to add more content to my channel. So that has kind of become my main focus this year is, you know, you saw the fitness video and I have a book video coming up, which I hope people are interested in. If not, I'm just making it anyway because I like reading books, as you can see behind me. So yes, I have the garage and the office are my two in the house projects, but I'm just trying to branch out on my YouTube channel because I know that the decluttering content may be what you're here for only, and that's okay. But I mean, I can't just keep cleaning the same spaces over and over again. For me, that's boring. I find it boring to watch, frankly. Not to be, I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but if I'm watching a channel and they're just cleaning the same spot in their house over and over and over again, and like, okay, like I get the value of it for people who need to like do what we're doing right now, body doubling and stuff like that. But creatively for me, that gets really boring. So I'm trying to come up with other things to put on my YouTube channel. And I have a whole list of ideas and I'm gonna keep some of those to myself for a little bit before blabbing about them all. A little mystery, a little intrigue. But yeah, those are my main goals, I guess, for this year, for the house and for me creatively and for this channel. Hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for asking it, because that was a bunch of people. So thank you to everyone who asked basically along those same lines of those questions. This one I found very interesting. Did you struggle with staying organized as a child? Interesting. I guess depends on define child, because as a little kid, definitely. I never wanted to clean my room. I mean, I feel like that's very typical little kid behavior, you know, like elementary school age, like my kids' age. They don't ever want to clean up. There weren't really any systems in place in my bedroom that I can remember as a little kid to make it simple to clean up. And I think that's what makes it really hard for kids when you just say, pick up all your toys, and there's not a very specific place for each toy to go. I have found that with my kids, once I created the main system, like this bin is for cars. Every little car, put it in this bin. Then they were more able to kind of wrap their brain around cleaning up. And I don't remember having anything like that as a kid, but also our house when I was a kid was really clean. Super, super clean. We didn't have a lot of clutter. We didn't have a lot of anything. My mom decorated the house really nicely and kept it really clean. She was a work-at-home mom. She had a small business when I was really little where she made knit ski hats. And if I remember correctly, like the bulk of her work that she had to do, her busy season of knitting was summer. So like during the school year and stuff, I feel like she was very available to me to help with stuff like cleaning up. And I don't think I was very required to clean up that often. At least not with the assistance of my mom. I just can't remember her ever saying, I don't know, just go in there and do it all yourself. Maybe she did, but also I'm 40, almost 43 years old. I don't totally remember. Also, I was the only child in the house, so there was a significant decrease of toys, I guess, or like there weren't a ton of toys around, not like what my kids have, it seems like. So, although my kids don't really have a ton of toys anymore, they're getting older and just want their iPads. If they had not a single toy in this whole house and just had iPads, I think they'd be perfectly content. iPads and video games. Of course, I want them to do other things than that. But I will say, that was me as like a little kid. I definitely resisted cleaning and putting my toys away and stuff. But as I became a teenager, that's when I started getting very, shall we say, anal retentive. Shall we say OCD-ish. I know that that's not real OCD, but hyper organized. Let's put it that way, where I wanted everything decorated. I like painted my ceiling blue in my bedroom. I used to watch HGTV all day long as a teenager. So around teenage years, that's when I started really caring about having a clean room, having everything organized, having a place for everything. I used to babysit my younger cousins, and whenever I would be at my aunt's house, I always loved like tidying up and cleaning up her house while I was there, because her house back then, when her kids were little, is kind of like how our house is now, or at least how it is before we decluttered it severely. So because it was, I feel like when you have little kids and you work 24/7, it's just, your house is just out of control, and that's just how it is. That's very normal to me to think of that. So I used to love to clean up and organize like all of her desk drawers and stuff like that. Like that still to this day is very fun for me. So once I became not a little kid anymore, I think I was hyper organized, if anything, which is why I think my house, before I decluttered it on, YouTube here, was stressing me out so bad, because for a long time it was just me living alone or with a roommate, or at my parents' house, but in my own space by myself, essentially, keeping it as clean and exactly the way I wanted it. And then once I got married, moved in with a boy, and then had kids who were constantly just overwhelming me with things and stuff and clutter and messes and everything. I didn't know how to cope with that for a really long time. So dealing with kid mess and that kind of like stress and overwhelm was really, really hard for me. So now that we have so much less stuff, I think it's way, way easier for me to stay on top of everything, and I'm way less stressed because the overwhelming amount of stuff and clutter and all that. And I'm not saying that it was all them. Obviously, the most of the stuff that I decluttered was my reselling business. That's what really like tipped the scales into like unmanageable. But having the reselling business plus all the kid mess, plus all Blake's stuff, that's when it just got really, really out of hand. So having significantly less stuff has made all the world of difference for me, just in every facet of my life, having more time to do other things, being less stressed, not yelling at my kids as much, just being able to teach my kids how to clean a little easier because it's not as visually overwhelming in the whole house. Yeah, it's been great. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, what was your life like before getting married and having kids? I kind of touched on that, at least for the decluttering part of it, or the you know, that kind of stuff. I don't know. Before getting married, do I remember before getting married and having kids? Can I even remember back that far? Blake and I celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary last summer. So this summer will be 11 years married. Before I met Blake, I was living with a roommate. It was just a random stranger that I found off the internet, which that was interesting. I lived alone for a little while before that, but then it was like, I could be paying half the rent because it was a 2-bedroom apartment. Before that, I was in college. I lived at home when I went to college. Actually, I'll say before I met Blake, I was a graphic designer. And when I was living in that apartment, I was a graphic designer up until a few years ago. I was doing freelance graphic design work. It just became unbearably hard with little kids. I vividly remember giving birth to Brody, my youngest, on a Thursday, and Monday, and I'll just say, without being too graphic, although this is a graphic way to put it, he exploded out of me. So I was very wounded. Gave birth on Thursday. Monday, I was sitting at my desk with him in my lap, nursing him, doing newspaper ads, which have strict deadlines, while Bo was running around in the background unattended, and he was less than 2 years old. And like by myself while Blake was at work. And just thinking, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Why? And I just didn't feel like I could take any time off work because I was freelance. It's not like there's any kind of paid time off when you're a freelance person. So it was like, if I don't work, I don't make any money. And we just had a second kid, and it's like, obviously we need money. So it was hard. And once YouTube and my reselling business I was doing both for a while, the graphic design work, it was slowly fading out. I'm not really answering the question of what I did before having kids and meeting Blake, but it kind of fades into that. Yeah, once YouTube and my reselling business were making equivalent money or good enough money, then I dropped the graphic design. I just stopped looking for new work. And I was doing Sears store closing newspaper ads for it had to have been like about 10 years. So before I met Blake, I was probably working on those and doing other random things too. But that was like the bulk of what I did. Very depressing job. Very depressing. Like, let's make newspaper ads for a very beloved store that's going out of business and closing all across the entire country. And it was boring work too, because it was like the same ad over and over and over again, basically just resizing it and stuff. It was kind of miserable. Before that, I went to school for interior architectural design. That's what my major was in college. And I worked in that field for a little while, a couple years, I guess. And the company I worked for was so atrocious and breaking so many labor laws and just abusing their interns and their lowest level employees. And I was being treated like crap, expecting to work 14-hour days, but only being paid for 8. That's just the tip of the iceberg of the stuff that they were doing. Also, it was like right at the housing market crash of like, let's see, I graduated in 2007. So it was like 2008. So the construction contracts were plummeting. So it's like I graduated in the best industry at just right the wrong time. And I just hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated the company. I hated the work I was doing. It was just not what I had hoped it would be. And so that's when I went into graphic design instead. And before that, I was just a kid. So I don't know what else to say about that. We kind of talked about, you know, little kid Jamie enough. I was an only child. I was a very lonely kid. I had some friends, but my best friend moved away when we were 10, and I don't think I ever really recovered from that. Also, I changed schools when I was a little kid, which is something that I am very against doing for my kids because it affected me so negatively. We didn't move, but I was a GATE kid. So once I got into the GATE program, I had to go to the GATE school. And I had no friends, and I was very unfortunate looking. And it was just kind of terrible. I had a great childhood, but I just didn't have a ton of friends. I did end up making like a few best friends, I guess, but I just never had like a really big friend group or anything. Not until high school. By high school, I kind of leveled out and became a normal person. It's not so socially awkward. Okay. We're going to change camera angles here. Hold on. I'm going to hang up some stuff now. I don't know what all this is. We've got Blake's laundry here too, but he can do that himself. There's my phone. All right. Next question. Let's go to some of the collections / vintage category. Are you still selling your vintage items? How is it going? I kind of touched on that already. It's not going well right now because I'm not putting any time into it, to be honest with you. I'm frustrated with it, and once I get down to just having like the best of the best stuff to sell, I'm gonna feel a lot better. Because right now I just feel like I have a lot of junk that I have to get through and just like get out of here. And then I'm gonna feel better about everything. I'm really just kind of done with storing huge amounts of stuff. I just don't want to do it anymore. And I have a tower of bins in the garage to sell at the local flea markets. And it's really, really hard for us to sell at the flea markets because we have to leave at like 3 in the morning to go set up. So we need to sit the kids an overnight babysitter. And that's really hard. I really just have one aunt that can do that. And she goes out of town a lot. And the flea market is only one weekend every month. So it becomes kind of like, okay, it's been a year and a half and we haven't done it at all. So I guess I got to kind of reevaluate all that. I'm going to say my reselling business is in transition. And it might be, to be honest, phasing out significantly because I'm enjoying making YouTube content more. And sometimes those videos, if they do well, are making me more money than the reselling business. So why I'm going to do something that takes way more time, makes me less happy, and makes less money. You know what I mean? So this year is kind of a transition year for me. I do still like reselling. I still love vintage things. I just need to change how my business is running. That's all. Did your parents collect things? No, not at all. My grandma collected things. My grandma had a teddy bear collection. Like lots of little knick-knack collections. And I have quite a few of my grandma's things when she was downsizing her house to move in with my aunt. She got rid of a ton of stuff. She always was good about kind of like, her house was very clean and organized, and it wasn't like an overstuffed collection kind of a house. Because she was still really good about like getting rid of stuff quite often. But she did have, oh, she also had a Jeff Gordon collection. She had a Jeff Gordon room in her house. She was a big NASCAR Jeff Gordon fan. But yeah, she slowly got rid of stuff. And then once she was a lot older and moving in with my aunt, she got rid of the vast majority of things. And that's when I got a lot of her, like, I have a lamp in the living room, that's hers. My very first Pyrex bowl, if you know, I have a big Pyrex collection. The very first one I ever got was hers. She was just getting rid of stuff, and I was like, ooh, I know about Pyrex. That's like really collectible. Can I have it? Because she was gonna put it like in a garage sale for $1. So I took it. Same thing with the lamp. So I think that's part of what got me into collecting, was having some of my grandma's things. Wait, this goes in the pajama drawer. But no, my parents didn't collect things. My house was kind of minimal, I guess. I don't know. It was just simple and nicely decorated, but with like new stuff. We didn't have like antiques or old stuff in the house at all. My mom would like go through different phases and kind of have trendy things, but it was always like kind of somewhat minimal. I don't think my mom likes a lot of clutter. I know she doesn't like a lot of clutter. So no, my parents did not collect things. I did not get that from them. Also, there was a question in here about, did you grow up going to yard sales or flea markets? No, not at all. Absolutely not. Not once, really. There was a thing called the swap meet, the Orange County swap meet. We used to go there, but honestly, they sold like new stuff, like artwork and stuff. And that's where my mom would buy like home decor. But it wasn't what you think of as like a flea market. It really wasn't like that at all. A couple more things. Let's see. Oh, this one. Okay. You call your place an apartment, but it looks a lot like a house. I live in the Midwest. We might call it a duplex maybe. For some reason, I get a lot of comments about this, and it's kind of funny, and I get it because it is technically an apartment. But I know we are living in a 2-story unit. It looks like a house. It doesn't look like what you think of a typical apartment. So that's why it's confusing, of course. But it is technically an apartment. It's not a townhome or a condo. Duplex is close. It's a 4-plex. So we technically live in what they would call the owner's unit. So it's the biggest unit of the 4-plex. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-story. Attached, but behind us, is 2 2-bedroom apartments and 1 1-bedroom apartment. So there's 4 units per building, and that is the whole street looks like that. So the whole street is 4-plexes. The adjacent street to us is more of what you would consider traditional apartments, where it's just like a big square rectangle with, you know, units that all kind of look the same, all stacked on top of each other. But the difference is it can't be considered a townhome or a condo, because the way it's zoned, the building, the whole building would have to be sold at once. You can't sell individual units, if that makes sense. And I think that's the qualification here, at least in California, for it not being considered a townhome. Like if they could sell just our unit, then, or, you know, if we just owned it, which of course we don't own anything, but if the individual units could be sold individually, then yes. but because if they wanted to sell one of these, they'd have to sell the whole building. So that's why. But it's funny, I do get that question kind of a lot. But it technically is an apartment. Oh, I love your sense of humor. Thank you. What are some things that make or have made you laugh the hardest? I need some laughter right now and a good story. Well, hopefully you're not going through anything super hard or terrible if you need a good laugh and a good story. I don't know if I have a good funny story, but I will say people for sure make me laugh the hardest. By far the number one person in my life who I can't hardly even be around sometimes if it's a serious situation is my cousin Carly. She's my best friend. And when we start laughing, it's like inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like, I very specifically remember, like, we'll get to talking. We can't ever finish a conversation because we probably both have ADHD and we just get off on like one tangent after another, and we try, it's just like scattered verbal diarrhea the entire time, but we get it too. Like it's like everything makes sense to us, but it's just one like tears cry laugh after another with her. I remember one time we went to the movies, it was a long time ago, and I think we were seeing Hot Tub Time Machine, which already is a funny movie, but then two people who like to laugh together going to a funny movie, like we got in this like laughing jag from some part of it and we couldn't stop laughing. If we would glance over and see the other one trying to like get it together and be like, okay, I'm good now, then it would like make you explode with even more laughter. To the point where people were turning around and like shushing us and being like, shh, like trying to get us to shut up because we were laughing too much at a comedy movie. But it was like, the joke was long over, you know, it's like in the in-between parts and there's nothing to laugh at. And we're just like hysterically laughing. We've gotten in trouble for laughing at a funeral before, which is a terrible thing to say, but it happened. And sometimes there's those people in your life where you can't be around them and not laugh. And she has dark humor too, like me. So unfortunately, the funeral, something happened and it gave us the giggles. And then it was like, I'm sorry everyone, we're going to have to excuse ourselves. I get like that with my mom too. A lot of people in my family, actually, we're very laughy, loud, the women anyway. I get like that with Blake too. Blake and I get into hysterical laughter quite often. So it's just, I couldn't even tell you like a lot of specific scenarios. It's just something happens and you start laughing and you're with that person who already makes you laugh. And you're making them laugh, and then you're both making each other laugh, and then you can't stop laughing, and then you're like crying, mouth open, just hissing sounds are coming out. You're about to pee your pants. Like that's how we are together. And that's what makes her my favorite person, because how could you not love to be around somebody like that? So let's see, I think maybe one or two more questions. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, these two kind of like go hand in hand. Have you always lived in California? Short answer, yes. If not, why did you decide to move there? Born and raised. Blake and I both born and raised here. But this secondary question, East Coast here and Eagles fan. Go Eagles. I have been mildly curious about the Eagles being your team as well. Favorite players? Used to live in the region? Thanks. Okay. First of all, I can't name a favorite player because I am an Eagles fan by marriage. So when I'm rooting for the Eagles, I'm rooting for my husband's team. because I am a good wife, and it was literally in our marriage vows that I had to support the Eagles. So it's a contractual thing. And I do enjoy football. I like watching football. It's fun to have a team to root for, even if they kind of stunk it up this last year. But it's more of like Blake cares so much about it, so I care secondhand. And it's just fun to spend time with him. I will tell you the reason he's an Eagles fan is growing up, he played roller hockey and then ice hockey in college. And he was a big hockey fan. I know that's weird growing up in Southern California. He's not from Canada or anything. Some people ask that all the time too when they find out what a big hockey fan he is. But he just was really into playing roller hockey. And so he got into watching ice hockey. And his favorite player was Alec Lindros. Is that the right first name? I feel like that doesn't sound right now for some reason. Lindros. I know that's the name. He was on the Flyers. So the Flyers became Blake's favorite team. And then as he got older and started getting interested in other sports, he played football in high school and then wanted to root for a football team. Well, in Southern California at that time, we had no team. The Rams had moved away. The Raiders moved up north. So we had no team in Southern California. So it was kind of hard to root for anyone. So he was like, well, I love the Flyers, so I'm going to love the Eagles. And he just ended up becoming a fan of all of the Philadelphia sports teams. And I agree, now that I'm been forced into that world, I don't think I can think of anywhere that matches Philadelphia's fandom when it comes to sports. There's not a city that is more bonkers about their sports teams than Philadelphia. I was watching something where it was like, I forget what they were talking about, but they were like, are you kidding? Philadelphia? Like, they'll burn down their city when their team wins. Those people are nuts there. And that's fun. It's fun to watch that. It's fun to watch people who are that passionate about their sports teams. Because for me especially, I could really easily get into the mind space, the headspace of like, it's just sports. It doesn't matter. I hope every team wins. I hope they just have fun, you know, that kind of stuff. But no, you can't do that as a Philly fan. You have to be like, this is life or death. It's Eagles win or we're breaking the TV. You know, like when they do win, we're going to burn down the city. They have to grease the light poles. Do you guys know this? They have to grease the poles in downtown Philadelphia when the team wins, any of the teams, because people will climb the poles during the celebration. And like people have gotten hurt and stuff. So they grease the poles so that people can't climb them. That's how crazy Philly is. So it is fun to be a secondhand Philly fan and care about all of that kind of stuff. Okay, I think I just have kids stuff to put away now. I will walk these into the bedroom and then I will answer one more question. Okay, last question. I guess I have to say, how did you and Blake meet? Because a bunch of people asked that one too. It's not a very interesting story though. That's the thing. We met on the internet. So it's like, it's not like a meet cute or anything. But I will say it was back in the olden days of the internet dating where there were no apps. The apps seem horrifying, by the way. My condolences to anyone who has to online date using those apps because it feels like a cesspool from what I've heard. Yeah, we met on plentyoffish.com. Yes, we did. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember like Match.com and OkCupid? What other ones was I on? I was I'm gonna say a bit of a serial dater before Blake and I met up. Like I had a big relationship right out of high school, and then I had a few like maybe 1 year relationships at the most, and then a bunch of dating all mixed together, and then I met Blake. And so there's a good, I don't know, 10 years of chaos in between those two big relationships. But thankfully for Blake, for both of us, we don't have to do that. And my condolences for anyone who is still out there, because it feels like online dating has kind of gone downhill. I'm gonna put this stuff in their bedroom. I'll be right back. What I will say though about how Blake and I met, he was in college still. He was in college like a little later in life. I think we were, God, what, in our 2011, late 20s. We were in our late 20s when we met each other. So he was still in college. He was playing ice hockey at the time, which was very attractive, like really, really attractive. That's what did it for me, basically. But he was traveling. When we first met, it was like only phone conversations for about 2 weeks before we could finally meet in person. So there was a lot of anticipation leading up to that, because I think he got sick at one point and then he was traveling for hockey. So, it was just a lot of talking on the phone and getting to know each other that way. I had basically decided that if once we met in person, if there was like the in-person physical attraction and connection, like, yeah, there were pictures and stuff online, but sometimes it just wasn't the same when you would meet somebody, you know, like if the chemistry was there or not in person. So I was basically convinced just from talking to him on the phone for 2 weeks, if this guy, if there's any chemistry at all when I first meet it, when I meet him in person, this is the guy. This is the one. And the second I saw him on our first date, the thought that went through my head was jackpot. He stood up and he was tall and he was big. And I think he was wearing sweatpants for some reason, because it was in like a hoodie. It was a casual, like, coffee meetup kind of thing. Maybe it was like right after a hockey game or a practice or something, because it was late when we met up. And he was just cozy, and I hugged him, and he smelled good, and he was really cute, and he had dimples, which unfortunately you can't see anymore because he's got that beard hiding his gorgeous dimples. He had hair somewhat. Although, unfortunately, even though he was only in his early 20s, it was dissipating a bit. So he always wore a backwards baseball hat. And he was just super cute. And he was athletic and sporty. And we had already gotten to know each other pretty well. And we just never ran out of stuff to talk about. And we ended up going and getting Starbucks. I think we got hot cocoa, like, late in the evening, before they closed. And then we ended up just driving around, and we ended up driving all the way down to Irvine and seeing basically like the neighborhood he grew up in. Like, we were doing that whole thing on our first date. It was very relationship-y right off the bat. And the rest is history. So that's the cutest part, I guess, about us meeting, even though we first met in a boring way, which was online. Okay, I'm just down to this stack of t-shirts, which I'm gonna go hang up in my kids' room, but you're not gonna come with me because my oldest kiddo is sick. I apologize for how late this video is too, because my kids have been trading illnesses back and forth between them. So knock on wood, I haven't really gotten sick. I've had like a little tickle, a little twinge of something, but then it goes away. So hopefully I'm not gonna get it, but I might have just jinxed myself by saying that. But yeah, that's what I've been up to lately, is tending to sick children. So one is still recouping in his bedroom. So you're not gonna follow me in there while I put his clothes away. But thank you for watching. I do have a lot of questions left, so we'll have to do a part 2 and get through the rest of them. There's questions about travel and all sorts of stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. And if you think of some other question, like a follow-up question to anything I said here, because I know I was just kind of like rambling off the top of my head and I wasn't really speaking in coherent, complete thoughts necessarily, feel free to add secondary follow-up questions, and we'll do this again if you guys enjoyed this. So thanks so much for being here, and I hope you got your laundry done. Most important. Bye, everyone.